So everyone always asks me, Mark, what's your story? So I'm going to share it. So this is my mom, my biological mother, and that's me. I was born in Korea. Yes, let's go. So I was born in Korea, and that was me, a little guy, little Marky right there. But in Korea, I'm 40, almost 44 for some of you wondering. And so when I was born, kind of post-Korean War, babies of soldiers were looked down upon. So I was mixed race. I was half American, half Korean, and my dad was an American soldier and kind of was out of the picture, and so my mom was left with me. And so in Korea, it is frowned upon. I probably would have been beat. I probably would have been left on the streets. It would have been very bad news. So my biological mom put me in an orphanage. So that is me when she had to make the very difficult decision of the best life for Mark. My Korean name is Kim Hyun-jun. So the best decision for me was to no longer be in Korea. And so she put me in an orphanage. And it's a very, very tough decision. So, you know, my mom would visit me. And then finally one day I got adopted. And so this is my mom giving me up, putting me on an airplane to America. If you could imagine how tough it would be if you were her. And this is the actual picture when she had to make that decision. And this is my adoptive family. Now, let me tell you a little something crazy. So this adopted family was Mark Ryan Beasley. That was my first name. And they adopted me, but things went rough. They made the decision that adopting me was the wrong decision. And so they had to unadopt me. I'm 5 years old, so they returned me like you would return something to Amazon. And so at 5 years old, they said, we no longer want you. And they made the decision to put me in the foster system. So 5 years old, I go into the wonderful foster care system, and that's why I'm so passionate about the foster care system. It's because without the foster care system, I would not be here today. So I went from, yes. So this was one of a handful of foster families that I belonged to, that I was there temporarily with. Here's another one. I really grew into my ears, let's just be honest. Those are some big bad boys. And so yeah, I went from foster home to foster home to foster home. So between 5 years old and about 8, I just went from foster home to foster home to foster home to foster home. And then finally about 8 years old, I got adopted by the Willses. In my family, yes. So here's where my story gets even crazier. Those are all of my brothers and sisters. So yes. So my parents have the biggest hearts in the world. They adopted 20 children from around the country. Yes. And so this is the best picture we have of the entire family. This is like 20 of the 25. And so, you know, I wanted to share my story, not only to inspire you, not only to let you know that, you know, if you dream, any freaking thing is possible. Yes. I didn't share it just so you can learn more about me, but I wanted to share it because, you know, there's a lot of lessons I learned kind of the hard way while going through this process of just what is my childhood. You know, there's nothing more difficult, in my opinion, than being 5 years old, 3 years old, and knowing that this is your mom and dad, and then one day they say it's not. And you're just like, what? You know, it didn't register me that I didn't look like them. It didn't register me to anything at all. But that moment, it broke me. Needless to say, I was 5 years old. But when I went into the foster care, the first foster family I went to, it was the hardest thing in the world, because when you're 5 years old and you're trying to fit in with a family who doesn't even really want you there, with other foster care children who are all jockeying for the affection and the love of the foster parent, it's one of the most difficult things that I've ever experienced. And so it wasn't until foster family number 2 that I realized, and when I went to the Wills family, that I realized that I had to walk in each foster family and let them know that I belonged. I had to believe in myself at 7 years old that I wasn't a victim. It wasn't my fault. I got adopted, unadopted, foster family to foster family. I realized at 6 years old that I had to be my biggest fan. That's right. It's something I hope none of you ever had to experience at that young of age, but I realized if I walked into a foster care family and I walked in there like the victim, that I was gonna get run right over. I'd get bullied, I'd get made fun of, I wouldn't get any food, I wouldn't get any seconds, because it was always survival of the fittest. But if I walked into a foster care family and I felt like I belonged there, I felt like I deserved to be there, I felt like it wasn't my fault, is when I realized that I had to be my biggest fan. Self-belief is something I learned on really early in my life. And it's something that I want you to understand, that we have to believe in ourselves. Whether you are 7 years old, walk into a foster, yes. And then when I walk into the Wills family and they already have 17 kids, first off, it's crazy they adopted that many kids, the biggest hearts in the world. Same thing again, I walk into a family and half the families, this is the age I walked into this family, about 8 years old. And as you can see, they already had children, foster care, adopted, not foster children, but adopted children. And I walk in and everyone's jockeying for my mom and my dad's time. And what I noticed is the family members that kind of didn't stand up for themselves and didn't believe themselves are the ones who kind of fell on the wayside. And so it is through my trials and tribulations that I try to inspire you that you have to believe in you. Because if you don't believe in yourself, no one will believe in you. It starts and ends with, yes, right, it starts and ends with who you know you are. We all have a version of what's happened to me. No one's story is worse or better than somebody else. That's right, it's not, we all have our own journey. But on our journey, we have to believe in us. When I say I, you say believe. I want to say thank you so much for coming to the Loan Signing System Conference. So I want to end with this. You've made this boy's dream come true. I'm going to start crying. Thank you. If this dude with some big old ears can make 6 figures as a signing agent, so can you. If this dude can start a signing service, so can you. If this dude can get 1,000 people to come to Las Vegas to hear him speak, anything is possible.